Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you could debate with your elected representatives before they passed a law restricting your liberties? If we were given the chance, perhaps some of the most freedom-restricting laws would not have been passed. Laws like the Patriot Act, or laws allowing the government to involuntarily conscript slaves in the form of the military draft. Well, in my hometown, I saw the local government attempting to usurp power by introducing an ordinance that would outlaw profane speech at town board meetings. This would be a massive violation of people's right to express themselves how they wanted to. What ensued was a debate that led to a surprising outcome. Enjoy.
To be respected and protected, and then everyone who has something to share to be able to have the freedom to share with respect and dignity, but also knowing that their freedoms are protected to respect and share.
Who is the one that gets to interpret what comments are respectful and what comments have, as you say, dignity? That's a massive concern of mine. Just who up here gets to interpret that?
Okay, well, let me finish reading this and then
Okay.
And I'll answer that, because good, thank you for sharing that. Okay, let me ask your question, or address your question. It's the way that I understand it is that it would be more consensus and not just one, like the president's the policeman. Now, I'm the curator, and so I'm responsible for the temperament of the room, so to speak. In other words, if people are going to start getting up, throwing chairs, I gotta make sure it doesn't get to that point.
What if they get up and start throwing words that you don't like?
Now, when I say, well, on here, like for example, vulgarity and profanity, and getting into things that are unbecoming like that, that's something that like if someone starts cussing or whatever, that's something that we are wanting to foster a culture. I'm not saying something's not going to slip at all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, if someone is like just very repeatedly just F this, F that, and blah, blah, blah. What we want, the goal of public comment or our comments or our deliberation is to get a solution. And so what we want to do is, what is the best way that we can present discussion, debate, argument, so that we're actually going to get some answers and resolution, and not, if that makes sense.
No, that doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you why, because another function of this is to redress our grievances to you. Mm-hmm. And you saw how I redressed my grievances. I did so very professionally. And yes, but if somebody else wants to come in and start slinging the F word at y'all because they're mad at you, I do not believe that it is correct for you to just say, well, he's being vulgar. Go ahead and throw him out. His comment isn't important to us. And that maybe your council, maybe this board will not enforce the rule in that arbitrary manner, but the foot in the door is important, and perhaps in 4 years, the next council will use this particular rule to quash people's First Amendment rights. And I would encourage every one of you, if you accept this, if you sign onto this, do it on the condition that speech provision of it gets wiped out, because that is a very dangerous thing. That's what was done in Nazi Germany, in the Soviet Union, in more blatant forms. And this is the government getting the foot in the door of violating the people's rights. I understand the intentions are good, but the end result is what we have to contemplate. And the end result of quashing people's First Amendment because they have offensive words in it is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I do understand that. And I actually, and this is the honest truth, I'm actually processing this as we're talking here. I can see, and it's bringing me to some other things that I have seen before that were well written that I just have forgotten about, that seemed to hold the accountability of the temperament of the overall room, while still more making sure that free. Are
you referring to the new House Bill 1338, perhaps? The bill that's going to give you all the right to do this stuff and give you qualified immunity when you do screw up?
What I don't want to get into is being heavy-handed as a council, honestly. I mean that.
Yes, and I appreciate that, Justin.
I want people to be able to know that they can bring a genuine concern to this town,
And again, who gets to decide what's genuine, right? Well, it's all subjective. I think we can agree.
Genuine meaning that it's relevant to the town and they care about it. So to me, that's definitely
right. And then we have to get into who interprets what's relevant to the town and what's important to it. And again, we get into the idea that some man gets to decide what's important. And really, I think the only person, I think most of us in the room can agree that the person who gets to decide what's important is God. And when we begin taking that task onto ourselves, we begin violating not only God's law, but in the United States of America, the Constitution as well.
Yeah, and I didn't say important because that is relevant. What I'm saying, genuine, meaning the person cares about it, and relevant, meaning it has anything to do with the town or town people or someone that works with the town, you know, because that is relevance. Like we wouldn't want to talk about an issue that has to do with Fort Wayne.
Right, but you say you're going to implement a time, right? So if somebody has an unrelated concern and they are just a little bit crazy, and you put a 3-minute time limit on, a 4-minute time limit on everybody, worst that can happen is you sit here and listen to some crazy guy for 4 minutes, right? I mean, it's not the end of the world, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it's the foot in the door that I'm concerned about, and I appreciate you. You seem like a good guy. I respect everybody on this board, but I tend to think that it's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous proposition.
If in the wrong hands, it could be used wrong.
Yes.
And he does have a point, because you guys aren't always going to be on the board.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
I know when I'm on post, I know how things are going to be done.
Exactly.
You're right. It does, depending on how, and some people may not even have this type of thing on the radar. They may not even understand this type of thing. So I hear you on that, and I honestly do. I do feel like I can actually reword that section. But what are your thoughts?
So the way I look at it, I'm more of a respect person. I'm not going to come at you with vulgar language. I'm not going to do that. So I wouldn't want you to do that to me. If you have an issue, we discuss it.
Understood.
There's no sense in chairs flying and
We're not talking about chairs. We're talking about words.
So, and words,
Right.
since you like to say, words is what gets chairs flying.
And do you guys?
Because if you come off the wrong way, then tempers are going to flare. And I think Justin's point is, let's keep it civil. We're all adults. This isn't,
Agreed.
you know. So
Yeah.
there's no sense in the words getting out of control. And I think that's where Justin's trying to make it to where you have an issue, please by all means come in here and we discuss it like he said, and then everything is fine. So
Okay.
that's my thought on it. It's more a respect thing. It's more the words, the way you speak to somebody. If you show them respect, we show you respect. Chairs ain't gonna get thrown because, like you said, they're gonna get thrown because it's words. Words is what starts everything, right? Am I right?
Well, you'd be hard pressed to find a city council meeting, a town council meeting where chairs are flying. I promise you that. But another thing, when you take an oath of office, when you hold a public office, you agree to the condition that you could be disrespected on occasion. And it is an unfortunate reality. And I don't intend to disrespect you myself, but I do understand that and I respect other people's rights to do that. And they can disrespect me as well. I don't have to meet that behavior.
So I think it's our right to say, you know, well, that's kind of wrong. You shouldn't sit there and treat
Yeah.
us like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. It is totally your right to express your opinion on that. I agree. Just having them thrown out by a police escort seems a little bit different than.
If it's physical, like if there's like needs of physical restraint, if someone's starting to punch or hurt somebody out there, that's like last resort emergency.
And if somebody stood up and just kept throwing words and you continuously said stop it, stop it, stop it, and they didn't stop, then it might escalate to the point of let's continue on with this. I'd like to have a conversation with you all privately. I'm sorry for everybody for that, but I'd like to have a conversation with you all privately. If you please, I've given you all my email. So.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions or comments?
I don't know, to you.
I'm gonna, just for the sake of a lot of things to process through, and we can further, process through this, I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to this for now, okay?
At the end of that meaningful debate, the town board president, Justin, decided he needed to reevaluate the ordinance he presented and put it to the side, which shows on his part an ability to evaluate in an objective way his own actions and a willingness to change them when required, a trait that is lost on the vast majority of public officials. We here at the Hendry Media Group suggested to the board that there are already laws in place that prohibit fighting or tumultuous behavior, and that the speech provision in the new ordinance is wholly unnecessary. We will be letting you know how this story develops over the coming months. I would be interested to read what you think in the comments down below. Until next time, I'm Craig Hendry with the Hendry Media Group. Take care.